I didn't think much of it the first time she remembered how I took my tea. It wasn't even something I'd said out loud, just less sugar, more milk, the way I always adjusted it myself when she set the tray down. But the next evening, when I came over to wait for my friend, she handed me a cup already fixed. "Still too sweet?" she asked, like she was half expecting me to complain. I shook my head. "No, it's right." She nodded once, like she'd solved something small, and went back to the kitchen. It should have stayed that, just someone's mom being attentive. Normal. Forgettable. But it didn't. Her house always felt a little too quiet for how big it was. Not empty, just stretched thin, like sounds had too much space to travel. Even the ticking clock in the hallway seemed louder than it should have been. I started noticing things I didn't mean to. The way she'd pause before sitting down, like she was deciding whether she had time. How she'd tuck her hair behind her ear, then do it again 2 minutes later, even if it hadn't moved. How she laughed. Not loudly, just enough to let you know she understood something, even if she didn't say it. I'd be there for my friend, but somehow end up in the kitchen with her instead. "Your tea's getting cold," she said once, leaning against the counter. I looked down. I hadn't taken a sip. "Yeah," I muttered, picking it up, even though I wasn't thirsty. She didn't push it, just watched for a second, then looked away first. That happened a lot. I wasn't lonely exactly. I had people. Messages came in. Group chats, plans, noise. But I had this habit, opening a conversation, typing something, then leaving it there. Not sending it. Just staring at the blinking cursor until it felt stupid. I don't know when that started. Maybe around the same time I started noticing how quiet her house felt even when someone else was home. One night, my friend texted me last minute. "Can't make it. Rain check." I was already outside their gate. I stood there longer than I should have, phone still in my hand, like the message might change if I waited. The porch light flicked on. She opened the door, just a little, enough to see me. "Oh," she said, surprised. "He's not here, you know." "Yeah," I nodded. "He just told me." A pause. Rain had started, light at first. The kind that doesn't commit. "You can come in," she said, stepping back. "No point standing out there." I hesitated. Not long. Just enough to notice that I was hesitating. "Okay." We didn't sit in the living room. She stayed in the kitchen, so I stayed there too. She poured tea without asking this time. Didn't measure the sugar. "I guessed," she said, sliding the cup toward me. I took a sip. It was right. "Lucky guess," I said. She smiled, but it didn't last long. Just a small thing, gone before it settled. The rain got heavier. You could hear it tapping against the windows, uneven. "You can wait," she said after a while. "In case he shows up later." "He won't," I said, maybe too quickly. Another pause. She nodded, like she already knew that. I don't remember what we talked about. Nothing important. Small things that didn't lead anywhere. But I remember how it felt to be there, like time had slowed just enough to notice everything. The way her fingers rested around her cup, not drinking. The way she looked at me when I wasn't speaking, like she was trying to play something. At one point, I caught myself watching her hands. I looked away fast. Pretended I was checking my phone. No new messages. I didn't open anything. Just held it there. When the rain stopped, I stood up. "I should go," I said. She walked me to the door, but didn't open it right away. "You can come by," she said, almost casually. "Even if he's not here." I nodded, not trusting myself to say anything normal. "Yeah, maybe." She opened the door then. I stepped out, the air cooler than before. "Good night," she said. "Good night." I made it halfway down the street before my phone buzzed. I almost ignored it. But I didn't. It wasn't my friend. It was her. Just one message. "Did you get home okay?" I stared at it longer than I should have. Then typed something. Deleted it. Typed again. And for once, I didn't leave it unsent. But even as I hit send, I had this quiet feeling, like I'd just stepped into something I didn't understand yet. And maybe didn't want to. She didn't text again that night. Not right away. I sent back a simple "yeah," just got in, and watched the screen like it might say more if I waited long enough. It didn't. Just the quiet read receipt, then nothing. Still, the next evening, I found myself walking past their house without meaning to. Slower than usual. Not stopping, exactly. Just enough to notice the porch light was already on. I told myself it didn't mean anything. A few days later, my friend finally asked me to come over. Something about a game, a couple of others showing up. But it ended up just being us. And her. He was loud, distracted, moving between rooms. I stayed where I always did, half in the kitchen, half out of it. She was rinsing cups when I walked in. "You're avoiding him," she said, not looking up. "I'm not," I said, leaning against the counter. She glanced at me then, quick. "You always end up here." I shrugged. "Better tea." That got a small smile out of her. "Flattery won't fix it if I mess it up one day." "You won't." I said it too easily, like I'd already decided something. She paused, water still running over her hands. Then turned it off, drying them slowly. "You trust me a lot," she said. I didn't answer right away. Just watched her fold the towel, once, then again, like she needed it to be exact. "I don't know," I said finally. "I just don't think you'd get it wrong." She looked at me a second longer than usual, then looked away first. Later, when my friend stepped out to take a call, the house slipped back into that stretched quiet. She poured tea without asking. I sat across from her this time. "You work late, don't you?" she said. "Sometimes." "Doing what?" "Nothing important," I said, a little too quick. She tilted her head. "That's usually not true." I let out a breath, staring at the steam rising from the cup. "It's freelance stuff," I said. "Design mostly. Deadlines at weird hours." "And you like it?" I thought about it. "It keeps me busy." She nodded, like she understood that answer for what it was. "Busy can be good," she said. "Until it isn't." There was something in the way she said it, like she'd learned that the long way. "What about you?" I asked. "What do you do all day?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Depends on the day," she said. "Some days feel full. Some just pass." I didn't push it. It didn't feel like something you asked twice. At some point, my friend came back in, loud again, filling the space. But it didn't quite erase what had settled there before. I caught myself watching her when she wasn't looking. The way she listened more than she spoke. How she'd rest her hand on the table, then pull it back like she'd remembered something. It felt different now. Not just noticing. Something else. Something I didn't have a name for yet. When I got up to leave, my friend barely looked up from his phone. "Text me," he said. "Yeah," I replied, already stepping toward the door. She followed, like before. But this time, when we reached it, she didn't stop right away. "You don't have to wait for him," she said, quieter than usual. "If you want to come by." I let out a small breath, half a laugh. "You keep saying that." "Because you keep pretending you don't hear it." I looked at her then properly. "I hear it." A pause. "The kind that doesn't rush you." "I just don't know what it means," I added. She didn't answer that. Just held my gaze for a second, steady, not avoiding it this time. Then, as she opened the door, her hand brushed lightly against my wrist. It could have been nothing. Probably was. But it lingered just enough for me to notice. And I don't know why that moment stayed with me. Maybe because it felt like someone finally saw me. It shifted in a way I couldn't ignore after that. Not all at once. Just small changes that didn't line up with how things were before. She stopped texting first. Not completely. Just enough for me to notice the gap. Messages that used to come easily turned into replies. Shorter. Careful. I told myself it was nothing. But I still checked my phone more than I used to. The next time I came over, my friend gave me this look. Not obvious. Just longer than usual. "What?" I asked. "Nothing," he said, but he smirked a little. "You've been here a lot." I shrugged, trying to keep it light. "You invited me." "Yeah," he said slowly. "I guess." He didn't say anything else. Just went back to whatever he was doing. But it stayed with me. The way he said it. Like he was trying to figure something out. She was in the kitchen again. Of course she was. But this time, when I walked in, she didn't turn right away. Just kept stirring something on the stove, slower than it needed to be. "Hey," I said. "Hey," she replied, still facing forward. A pause. I leaned against the counter, waiting for something to settle. It didn't. "You've been busy," I said, because it was the first thing I could reach. "Yeah," she nodded. "A bit." That was it. No follow-up. No glance. I watched her for a second, the way her shoulders stayed just slightly tense, like she was holding something in place. "You didn't text," I said before I could stop myself. She paused. Just for a second. then resumed stirring. I didn't think I needed to. The words weren't harsh, just placed carefully. Right? I said, looking down at the counter. I picked at a small scratch in the wood, running my thumb over it again and again. Did you want me to? She added, quieter. I let out a small breath. I don't know. That was the problem. I didn't. Later, my friend left again. Something about grabbing food. The door shut a little too loud behind him. And just like that, it was quiet. Too quick. She turned off the stove this time, finally facing me. You shouldn't be here so much, she said. It wasn't what I expected. I frowned slightly. He's my friend. I know. Then what? It's just, she stopped, pressing her lips together like she was choosing what not to say. People notice things. I almost laughed. Who? She didn't answer. Just looked at me in a way that made it clear she wasn't talking about other people. I shifted my weight, suddenly aware of how close I was standing. I'm not doing anything, I said. I didn't say you were. But you meant it. She shook her head, a little too quickly. I mean, it's not that simple. Then what is it? Another pause. Longer this time. Her hand moved to the counter between us, fingers resting there lightly. Not quite steady. I just think, she started, then stopped. I waited. She didn't finish it. I don't remember moving closer. Just that the space between us felt different. Smaller. Like something had tilted. Her eyes flicked down for a second. To my mouth. Then back up. It was quick. Easy to miss. But I didn't. Neither of us said anything. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was full. Heavy in a way that made it hard to breathe normally. I could hear the clock again, ticking somewhere behind us. Too loud. You should go, she said, but her voice didn't match the words. I didn't move. Neither did she. Her hand shifted slightly, brushing mine where it rested on the counter. Not pulling away. Just there. I looked at her again, closer this time. Close enough to notice the hesitation in her eyes. The question she wasn't asking. And for a second, just a second, it felt like we were about to cross something neither of us could step back from. But then, the front door clicked open, and she pulled her hand away first. After that night, I stopped going over as much. Not completely, just enough to feel the difference. My friend noticed first. Where have you been? He asked, tossing his phone onto the couch. You disappear now or something. Busy, I said, same answer as always. He squinted at me, like he didn't buy it. Since when? I shrugged. Didn't explain. Didn't know how to without saying too much. He let it go. Or pretended to. But I still caught him watching me sometimes. Like he was waiting for something to slip. A week passed. Maybe a little more. I told myself it was better this way. Cleaner. Whatever that meant. But then one evening, my phone buzzed. Her name. Just that. No message. I stared at it longer than I should have. Then typed. Everything okay? The reply came slower than usual. Can you come by? Just for a bit. No explanation. I didn't ask for one. It was quieter than usual when I got there. Not just the house. The air itself felt off. Like something had already happened, and I'd missed it. She wasn't in the kitchen. I found her outside, sitting on the low wall near the gate. A cup in her hands, untouched. You came, she said, like she wasn't sure I would. Yeah. I stayed standing at first, then sat beside her, leaving just enough space to pretend it meant something. We didn't look at each other right away. The street was dim. A dog barked somewhere far off. Someone's TV murmured through an open window. Normal sounds. Just distant. What's going on? I asked. She let out a small breath, watching the steam fade from her cup. He told me, she said. My chest tightened. What? She shook her head. Nothing clear. Just that you've been coming around a lot. Asking about me. I wasn't. I stopped. Adjusted. I wasn't asking like that. She nodded. I know. A pause. Do you? I asked, quieter. That made her look at me. Properly this time. There was something in her expression I hadn't seen before. Not confusion. Not exactly fear. More like she'd already gone too far in her own head and didn't know how to come back from it. This is getting, she started, then stopped. Complicated. I offered. She let out a breath that almost sounded like a laugh. That's one word for it. I leaned forward slightly, elbows on my knees, hands loosely clasped. I tried not coming, I said. I noticed. Did you want me to? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked down at her hands, adjusting her grip on the cup even though it was already steady. That's the problem, she said finally. I don't know what I want. I nodded slowly. Okay. But I know what this looks like, she added. And I know what it could turn into. And I shouldn't let it. The words landed softer than they should have, like she wasn't fully convinced by them. I turned my head, watching her instead of the street. Then why did you call me? That did it. A small shift in her posture. A breath she didn't quite finish. She started, voice thinner now. I didn't want to sit with it alone. With what? She looked at me again. Longer this time. And there it was, that edge. That line we kept circling without naming. With you being here, she said quietly. Or not being here. Both feel wrong. Something in my chest pulled tight. I didn't think. Just spoke. I can leave. Her fingers tightened slightly around the cup. I didn't ask you to. Then tell me what you did ask. Another pause. Long enough to matter. Her eyes dropped, then lifted again, slower now, like she was deciding something in real time. I think, she said, barely above a whisper. I think I wanted to see if this was just in my head. I swallowed. And she didn't answer with words. Just looked at me. Close now. Closer than before. The space between us didn't feel careful anymore. It felt fragile, like one wrong move would break it open, or finally make it real. Her hand shifted slightly on the wall, closer to mine. Not touching. Not yet. And I could feel it, that moment again. Right there. Waiting. I exhaled slowly, my voice lower than I meant it to be. If it's not just in your head, then what is it? She didn't answer my question. Not really. Her hand stayed where it was for a second longer, close enough that I could feel the heat of it without contact. Then she pulled it back, slowly, like she didn't want the movement to be noticed. We should go inside, she said, standing up before I could say anything else. That was it. The moment, whatever it was, folded in on itself. After that, things didn't end. They just loosened. She stopped asking me to come over. When I did show up, it was different. Doors stayed open. Conversations stayed shorter. My friend was always nearby, even when he didn't need to be. And she became careful. Not cold. That would have been easier to understand. Just precise. Like every word had been measured before it left her mouth. You've been quiet, I said once, standing in the kitchen doorway. She didn't look up from what she was doing. Have I? Yeah. A small pause. I think that's better, she replied. Better. I nodded, even though it didn't feel like it. A few days later, I stopped going. No announcement. No reason given. I just didn't show up. My friend texted once. You alive? I replied. Yeah. Just busy. Same word. Different weight. I tried filling the time the way I used to. Work. Late nights. Half-finished conversations. But everything felt slightly off, like I'd missed a step somewhere and couldn't find it again. I caught myself opening her chat more than once. Typing something. Deleting it. Closing the app. Repeating it the next night. Then, one evening, she called. Not a message. A call. I stared at it until it almost stopped ringing. Then answered. Hello. Silence. For a second, I thought the call had dropped. Then her voice, softer than usual. Did I wake you? No. Another pause. I didn't mean to. If you're busy, I can. I'm not. I said quickly. Too quickly. She exhaled, like she'd been holding it in. I just wanted to check. She started, then stopped. Check what? That you're okay. The word sat there. Simple. Careful. I'm fine, I said. You haven't been around. I know. A longer silence this time. I could hear something faint on her end. A door closing. Maybe just the house settling. You can come by, she said after a while. If you want. It sounded different now. Not like before. Before, it felt like an opening. Now it felt like something being offered with both hands, and already halfway taken back. I swallowed. Is he there? I asked. No. That made it worse. I didn't answer right away. I thought this was better, she added quietly. Some distance. Is it? Another pause. I don't know, she admitted. That honesty, small as it was, pulled something tight in my chest. Then why are you calling me? I asked. She didn't respond immediately. When she did, her voice had shifted again. Thinner. Because I didn't like how it felt when you stopped coming. I closed my eyes for a second. That's not an answer, I said. I know. We stayed on the line longer than we should have, talking around things, not through them. Every sentence felt like it could turn into something else if we let it. But we didn't. Eventually, the conversation slowed. Okay, she said, like she was ending something gently. I'll let you go. Yeah. Another pause. Good night. Good night. The call ended. I sat there for a while, phone still in my hand. Then opened our chat. Typed, I miss being there. I stared at it. Read it again. It felt too direct. Too late. Too much. I deleted it. Locked my phone. Set it down beside me. The next evening, I walked past her house again. Same as before. Same slow pace. The porch light was off this time. The gate closed. No sound from inside. I stood there for a second longer than I should have. Then kept walking. I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt paused. Like life forgot to finish the sentence. A few days passed after that. Then a week. Long enough for it to start settling into something permanent. Or at least, that's what I told myself. It was late when I went back. I didn't plan it. I just ended up there. The street was quiet, same as before. Same dim light. Same stillness that made everything feel louder than it was. The porch light was on again. That surprised me. I stood at the gate for a second, hand resting on the metal, not moving. I could leave. Easy. Just turn around, walk back, pretend I hadn't been here. I stayed. Then knocked. She opened the door almost immediately, like she'd been close by. For a second, neither of us said anything. You came, she said. Not surprised. Not relieved. Just stating it. Yeah. A pause. Can I come in? She stepped aside. We ended up in the kitchen. Of course. Nothing had changed, but everything felt different. The same cups. The same counter. The same quiet ticking clock somewhere in the background. But now it all felt sharper. Like there was less room to avoid things. She didn't make tea this time. Just leaned against the counter, arms loosely crossed, like she needed something to hold on to. I stayed standing for a moment, then sat down without asking. I leaned back a little, trying to understand what she meant without asking her to say more than she wanted to. And what is it? I asked. There it was again. That question. But this time, it didn't feel like something hanging between us. It felt like something that needed an answer. She looked down briefly, then back up. You make it easy to forget things I shouldn't forget, she said. The words landed quietly. No drama. No emphasis. Just true. I swallowed. That's not a good thing. I know. Then why? Because it also makes me feel, she stopped, searching for it. I waited. Less alone, she finished. That one stayed. Longer than anything else. I nodded slowly. I get that. And I did. Too well. But it's not just that, I said. At least, not for me. She didn't look away. Then what is it for you? I hesitated. Not because I didn't know. Because saying it would make it real in a way we couldn't step back from. I looked at her. Really looked. The tiredness in her eyes. The way she held herself like she was always bracing for something. And still, I think about you, I said. More than I should. Her breath caught. Just slightly. I noticed. I notice when you're not there, I added. When the house feels different. She let out a slow breath, like she'd been holding it in for longer than she realized. That's exactly why this is a problem, she said. I know. We both did. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of everything we weren't saying. Everything we could, but wouldn't. Not all the way. Her hand moved first. Not toward me. Just onto the table. Closer than before. I looked at it. Then at her. She didn't pull away. Didn't move closer either. Just left it there. An option. A question. I reached out. Slowly. Gave her enough time to stop me if she wanted to. She didn't. Our hands touched. Light. Careful. Like neither of us trusted it to hold. But it did. We stayed like that for a second. Maybe longer. Neither of us looking away. This doesn't fix anything, she said quietly. I know. And it doesn't make it easier. I know. Another pause. Then, softer, okay. Just that. No resolution. No promise. But something settled. Not solved. Just acknowledged. Things didn't change all at once after that night. If anything, they slowed down. We didn't suddenly start seeing each other more. We didn't talk every day. There were no long messages, no late-night confessions that fixed everything. Just small adjustments. Careful ones. I stopped coming over when my friend was home. Not because anyone said it out loud, but because it felt like the only way this could exist without breaking something else. He noticed, of course. "You've disappeared again," he said once, half joking. "Work?" I replied. He nodded, distracted, already moving on. It wasn't a lie, just not the full truth. She and I found our own rhythm. It started with small things. A text in the morning sometimes. "Did you get enough sleep?" Or later, "There's tea if you're coming by." Lines we didn't cross. We didn't pretend they weren't there. But we learned how to exist around them without pushing too hard. Some days, it felt easy. Other days, it didn't. But we stayed. One evening, we ended up outside again. Same low wall near the gate. No rain this time. Just a quiet breeze, moving through the street like it had somewhere to be. She had her cup. Untouched, like before. "You still don't drink it," I said. She glanced down, then smiled faintly. "I forget." "You always forget." "Not always." A pause. Then, softer, "Just when I'm thinking about something else." I didn't ask what. I didn't need to. I sat beside her, closer than before. Not careful, not distant. Just there. Our shoulders brushed lightly. Neither of us moved away. "You're not coming around as much," she said after a while. It wasn't a complaint. Just an observation. "I know. Is that better?" I thought about it. About everything this had been. Everything it still was. "Yeah," I said. "I think it is." She nodded. "Me too." We sat there a little longer. No rush to leave. No need to say more than what had already settled between us. Her hand rested on the wall again. This time, I didn't hesitate. I placed mine over it. Not asking. Not testing. Just holding. She let it stay. It wasn't perfect. Nothing about it was. There were still things we didn't say. Still parts of this that didn't fit neatly into anything we could explain. But it felt steady. Real in a way that didn't need to prove itself. After a while, she leaned her head slightly against my shoulder. Not fully. Just enough. I didn't move. Didn't say anything. Just let it be what it was. I used to think moments like that needed something more. A decision. A turning point. A clear answer. But sitting there, with her hand in mine and the street quiet around us, it didn't feel unfinished anymore. Later, when I stood up to leave, she didn't walk me to the door this time. Just stayed where she was. "Good night," she said. "Good night." I took a few steps, then stopped. Turned back. She was still there. Watching. Not waiting. Just present. I don't know what this is. Not completely. Maybe it doesn't need a name. Maybe it just needed time. And a place to exist without being forced into something else. All I know is, I don't check my phone the same way anymore. And she doesn't let the tea go cold as often. And somehow, that feels like enough. Did this story stay with you? What kind of quiet, real love stories do you want to hear next?